What is going on, everybody? Happy Saturday. My name is Justin, aka Good Comics, and welcome back to the channel. This is another episode of Comic Collector Origins. We are on episode 62, and I always say this, but the time's just flying by. I can't believe we're as far along as we are. But I have to say, this show has been such a journey, and meeting everybody that I have, it's just been so much fun. If you are not familiar with the show, Comic Collector Origins, it is all about the comic book community. It's where I bring guests on from the community and I ask them questions about their origin story, how they first got started in this incredible hobby that we're part of, and this awesome community that we're in, and kind of, you know, what their first appearance was at a local Comic-Con or a comic shop, and so on and so forth. So it's been a lot of fun. Again, just meeting everybody, and also I appreciate everybody who always, you know, whether you're in the chat here live or if you catch the replays, I always appreciate the support. And I hope that, you know, in doing the shows the way I have been, I've been able to introduce some of you to some really awesome people, and hopefully you've all been able to, you know, follow each other and connect with each other. Because at the end of the day, I think, you know, we all have the same passions or very similar passions, and so I hope that you all see that within each other and reach out to each other. So before I go any further, take a moment, smash the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Really do appreciate that. What was I going to say? Well, I'm just going to get into it. So my guest for today, my 62nd guest, is my good friend Hailey from Chai Comic Girl, which, by the way, I kept flipping back and forth as I was creating the thumbnail for this. My goodness. And Hailey, I feel like Hailey's been fairly new to the community, at least from my perspective, and seeing her come into this comic book community and truly light it up in terms of, you know, diving into comic books, connecting with a bunch of different people. I know she's been on other shows already. She has her own YouTube channel. She's truly embracing the love and the passion for comics, and you know, just diving right into the community. So if you guys do not already know Hailey, certainly recommend that you reach out to her. I put her information in the description below. She has her own YouTube channel, as I mentioned before, and she's just been a really uplifting energy to this community. So I'm going to bring her in now, and we have our good friend Hailey here. So Hailey, what is going on?
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm like so excited to be here.
Yes, absolutely. I appreciate you taking the time to jump on here with me. Like I said, this has been an incredible journey for me, where all I want to do is bring on awesome people and then introduce them to more awesome people, and hopefully that you and the other awesome people all connect. So that's been my goal this whole time, and it really has been just incredible. So I do appreciate you taking some time and being on the show as well.
Of course. And I feel like you've definitely connected me, especially, to a bunch of people just like right off the bat. So I'm super appreciative.
Awesome. And like I said, we have 15 people in the chat right now. Appreciate everybody watching live, or if you're catching the replay, we appreciate you taking the time to watch that as well. Again, if you're not following Hailey, I put all her information in the description below, including her YouTube channel and her Instagram channel. So be sure to not only connect with her there, but really reach out and you know, talk comics, because that's what Hailey's all about. So but we'll get into more about who you are as a collector and reader, Hailey, in just a sec. I want to take a moment and say a quick hello to the chat, which I see there's a lot of comments already. So we will scroll through that real quick here. I see, starting off at the top, we got my man Perry Comics, Pickle Perry. What's going on, Perry? Station brother. Good to see you, man. We also got Travis TM Nerdy. Just had him on the show last week. TM Station, my friend. Good to see you as well. We got Ruben Guzman in the house. White Tiger, Cool Calm Collective, saying Cowabunga fam. Thank you, as always, White Tiger, for swinging by. We also got my man Michael, a.k.a. Sove Collector, hanging out with us. He says, hey, happy Saturday, everyone. As usual, out shopping for a Christmas tree. That's awesome. Love Michael. Love his support. Michael, literally, he does, you know, it's a Saturday. It's 2 o'clock. Everybody's doing things, you know. And yet Michael, while he is out doing things, he's literally on his phone while he's doing things. So I appreciate you always tuning in, man, or catching the replay. Let's see. We got Branding from Comics Kings. I'm not going to read his comment, but definitely want to say go Ravens, go Ravens. But good to see you, Brandon. We got PJ King in the house. What's going on, PJ? Thanks for stopping by. Let's see. Scrolling through here. We got my man Justin in the house, Nemesis Prime. Good to see you as well, dude. I gotta hit you up. I was wondering if you're gonna hit up that local expo tomorrow morning. We'll have to keep in touch about that. Let's see, we got Kevin in the chat as well. Entropy in Comics saying greetings, community. Kevin, always nice to see you. We got my man Ryan in the chat as well. Magic Lasso. Hello, hello. He goes, hello, you, No Good Comics influencer, and Hailey and chat. Appreciate you, man. We got VP in the house, Station VP. Thanks for swinging by as well. Let's see, we got my good friend Mark here. Legion of Comics had him on the show not too long ago as well. Good to see you, Mark. Thanks for swinging by. Let's see. We got Reboot in the chat saying, what does station mean? Station, essentially, Reboot, is a way of greeting someone. It's actually from an older Bill and Ted, one of the Bill and Ted films from a while back, and it's basically a way to greet somebody or welcome them, or to say be well to them. So you can use it in a lot of different ways, but the community here has kind of picked up the word station. So anybody who's not familiar with it, just go with it. Yeah, you just go with it. You say hi. It's another way of saying hi or sending love, or a positive energy, or you could use it to say goodbye as well. So there you go. Thanks for bringing that up, Reboot. And Brandon, thanks for dropping Hailey's link as well. Appreciate that. Definitely sub her up. Let's see, we got Lucy in the chat. What's up, Lucy? Mama Comic. Hello.
Hey, Lucy.
Thanks for stopping by as always. And we got my man Jason, aka Claiming Comics. I know he just sent you some goodies as well not too long ago.
Oh my gosh.
He's the best. So kind. Yeah, that's so cool. He says, what up, Justin and Hailey? I was just checking. He was just near my neck of the woods. Nice, over at Joker's. Very cool. Very cool. Let's see, we got my man John from John's Comics with Kids. John, got to talk with you later. I just finished Ted Lasso season 2. We got to talk about it. So did you watch it? Oh man.
Yeah.
I am obsessed with Ted Lasso. So yeah, we'll have to talk about that too then, Hailey.
Definitely.
Hey, we got Candace in the chat as well. What's going on, Candace? Hello. She says Chi-Town represent. Yes. That's right. Let's see, we got Miss So in the chat. Hello, Miss So. Thanks for swinging by as well. Let's see, scrolling through, I think I'm getting everybody. We got my good friend Gore Vidal in the house. Says good morning. Good to see you, my friend. Let's see. Reboot says first time on your live, always watching the replays. Oh, Reboot, well, welcome, man. I'm glad you're able to catch it live. Good to see you in the live chat. We got Hyper Combo in the chat as well. What's going on, Hype? Always a pleasure to see you, my friend. Man, we got a lot of people in here. We got 19 people hanging. Okay, I think I've reached the bottom. So again, appreciate everybody. And there it is. Brandon, station means to be excellent to each other. Yes, straight up. That is the definition. John says, I've now started my 3rd time watching, only 3 episodes in on the rewatch. Yeah, so him and his wife have been rewatching Ted Lasso. They just finished their 2nd time through both seasons, and now he's on his 3rd.
Rewatch that. It's just so good that I'm like, I miss it in my life.
Yes, yeah. He was saying that you can pick up a lot of different things as well along the way that you might have missed. So let's see. We also have Kirk in the house. What's going on, Kirk? Comics on the Mind. Thanks for swinging by, my friend. Guys, make sure you smash that like button. We got 21 people here. Appreciate everybody hanging. Make sure that you are subbed up to Hailey if you're not already. And Hailey, let's get into this. Now that we've said hello to the chat, I'm going to kick it off with the question I always kick it off with, but I want to know, where did this hobby start for you? How old were you? What did your environment look like at the time, whether it was a long time ago or recently?
Yeah, so it started when I was like a lot younger. At least the seed was planted. My mom would drop me off at Borders when it was around, and I would go to the like graphic novels and manga section. And I used to read this manga called Fruits Baskets, and that was kind of my first introduction to kind of like the visual art with like writing medium. And my mom also didn't want to buy them because they were like $10, and I would read them in an hour. And she's like, okay, well, and then I went the next one. So she would drop me off for a couple of hours, and I would read this whole series. And I became really interested in that and anime. And then as I kind of got older, not like too much older, I was probably around like 10 or so. There was this nostalgia comic shop that was down the road from my house, and during summer breaks my parents would give me a couple of dollars, and they had like a 50-cent dollar bin, and so nice. I would just grab whatever comics I could find. And recently my dad had kept the short box that I had all of them in, and it was like a bunch of like Walt Disney, Beetle and Bailey, like something Captain Sarge, I think, like these old school comics. So that was kind of what really started my interest. And then I discovered like Free Comic Book Day, and my dad would take me around to the comic book shops in Chicago because there's so many. And just like through the years, I would kind of dip in and dip out of the comic, my comic interest.
The world. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's very cool. And I'm wondering too, because like I know that we've talked a little bit about your
Mhm.
love for novels and reading, just general,
Mhm.
reading books and things like that. Did that play a role at all? Were you reading books prior to reading manga or even comics, or has that
Yeah.
always kind of been a thing in your life throughout?
So I was reading books before I got into manga and
Mm,
comics, and really for the longest time, reading novels almost like trumped reading comics. Like that was just like my biggest passion was literature, and
sure.
especially so I work in publishing. I read like manuscripts for work, and so that was just something that always drove my interest in reading. But what I saw through the last like year and a half is that I was finding myself in like more reading slumps, and I wasn't picking up books that were like really thrilling for me. And I think I associated it a lot with like my work. And so I
Okay.
love reading still. I read all the time, but I needed something to kind of, you know,
Change
distance
it up a little
myself.
bit.
Yeah, change it up a little
Hmm.
bit.
Yeah.
And I ended up diving into comics again in January. And it's kind of just my collection has grown exponentially since then.
That happens. That
Yep.
happens. You're not alone there for sure. So really then, so there has been like obviously little breaks in between
Yes.
throughout your life, and you're saying January is kind of what's been the kind of the recharge of jumping back into comics. Is that right?
Yeah, I watched WandaVision like probably so
Oh,
many
see,
people.
that's totally, yeah.
Yeah,
The
and
the shows and the movies could definitely play a factor for sure.
well, and I had never been interested in Marvel. I had never read
Mhm.
any of the superhero comics, even when the comics I did read was a lot of like Boom Studios, Image. I had
Yeah.
read the Manhattan Projects from Jonathan Hickman, and then I watched WandaVision, and I went back and I watched all of the Marvel films.
Oh, that's awesome. You went back and watched everything?
Everything,
Oh,
because
that's so
I
awesome.
hadn't
Yeah.
really watched them with any kind of j just with I didn't watch them with, giving them proper attention, so I
Right,
really
sure.
didn't even know that they all connected, and
Oh,
then
okay.
I went back and was like, "Wow, my
Wait, so
mind's blown."
wait, so was it all this year? This year is when
100%, all this
wow,
year.
that's amazing. That's so cool. How do you feel about them now? Or how do you feel about Marvel now ever since
Oh, I'm
you've
like a
watched everything?
complete down the rabbit hole I went, you can't find
Nice.
me, I'm never coming out.
So you're yeah, so you must be excited for a lot of the new stuff too. Marvel's
Yeah.
working on right now, right? I know that Hawkeye had just been released. I don't know if you caught the first couple episodes of that, but that's we just watched it actually yesterday.
I
But yeah,
definitely did.
yeah, that's awesome. That's so cool.
Well, and I wanted to know because so basically I watched WandaVision and then I went back and I was like, I want to know more. Like that was
Mhm.
kind of the thing, this craving
Yeah,
of having more like background knowledge. And I knew that people were theorizing about certain plot lines and storylines when I
yeah,
would
yeah,
just end up in the Google rabbit hole. And I was
sure.
curious to how they like how they were predicting these things, what they were kind of talking about. I listened to a few podcasts as well. And so I ended up buying like my first like bigger comic purchase was the Vision and Scarlet Witch 12 issue run.
Yeah.
I like purchased it off of eBay and started reading all of the like Scarlet Witch comics that I could get my hands on. And so that essentially led to these other like comics. I started visiting my local comic shop again, and yes, it's
All down the rabbit hole. I love it. I absolutely love it. That's really cool. I'm like so excited for you that you just recently watched all of these movies, which obviously is a lot of a lot of stories, a lot of films, a lot of behind the scene, a lot of like end credit scenes and things that tie into other things.
Mhm.
So I'm always excited for anybody that's like kind of rediving into that. I shout out my good friend Michelle, Moonlit Comics. She also recently went through and watched everything. I know she dabbled in a couple films throughout
Okay.
the years, but she even for her, I know she didn't fully give it time for everything up until recently. So I was literally, she was like reporting back to me like every 2 or 3 movies that she'd watch, and I'd be like, so what did you think of this? Tell me about that. And like feeling, because she just want to talk to somebody about it at that point after
Oh,
watching.
totally. You
Yeah.
watch it and you're like, I need someone to talk about. Or my boyfriend at the time just was like, he had watched like 3 movies with me. He's like, I can't do this. Like, I can't just only watch Marvel for 3 weeks straight. And I was like, well, I can, and I will.
You're like, what? Stay out of my way. I love it. I love the commitment. It's great. I wanted to catch up on the chat here just a little bit before. I saw Ryan had mentioned, this is a few minutes ago. He asked if you were from Chicago, which you are currently in Chicago, right? He wanted to know what your favorite comic book shop is, at least at the moment.
Oh, so that's so hard. I recently visited First Aid Comics, and I was just blown away by the space, and they were really nice. My local comic shop is Alley Cat and Graham Crackers. Alley Cat is so fun to just take people who are maybe not really into comics to, because you have to go down like a secret alley, and then the comic shop is like behind all of like this building, and so it feels really like a secret passageway.
Nice.
So those are some of my favorites.
Kind of a private, hidden, gem. I like it. Let's see. I saw we have Dick Fury here. Hello. Says greetings. Candace is saying she misses Borders. Definitely remember Borders. Yeah. Perry says I haven't heard that name in years. Yeah, same here, man. Let's see. John talked about. He said I've never gotten into anime. Got to give it a try at some point. Not going to try to pronounce that because I will probably ruin it, but has
Miyazaki.
There you go.
Hayao Miyazaki, yeah.
Hayao, okay. Miyazaki has been the only connection to that culture. So very cool.
So good though. That's like a quality. It's like what was Spirited Away, all of the like kind of like famous anime that is on, like, I know they're streaming on HBO Max, but if you're looking for anime, Attack on Titan is really huge. You could get on Hulu. Yep. There's some good shows on Hulu that are running, so
nice.
I'd give it a go.
Nice. We have our good friend Jennifer in the chat as well. Comics will break your heart. Good to see you. Says howdy, friends. Let's see. Scrolling through here. Didn't want to miss anyone, but I know I'm way behind on on comments here. Let's see. Gore says Manhattan Project was excellent. Kirk says rewatching WandaVision for the second time through was amazing, even better. Really cool there. Yep. Let's see, my man Steve is in the chat as well. Hip Hops and Me, good to see you, Steve. Thanks for swinging by. Let's see, we also got John Ross in the house. He says sorry I'm late. All good, my friend, all good to see you. Let's see, Sove says you've got impeccable taste in comics. There you go. Good stuff, Michael. Good call. Let's see, just scrolling through just a little bit. Yeah, John also agrees that it is awesome. Miyazaki, right? I'm saying that right?
I think it's Miyazaki, but also watch me be like totally wrong. So
so Ross is a fan. That's cool. And then Candace says, I love Graham Cracker Comics, In the Loop and Chicago Comics. Also, Challengers is really good. Okay.
Challengers is amazing. I can't believe I forgot. If anyone ever comes to Chicago, they're the nicest. Like, truly have shown me such kindness. Even when I started my YouTube channel, they like said to like come in, and if I ever wanted to record there, like I was like, I have like 2 YouTube subscribers at that point. You're so sweet.
Nice. I love that. I mean, anytime, customer service, when it comes to LCSs, when it comes to shops, that to me trumps anything else, and that's why I like my local comic shop too. It's just, looking for those people that you can essentially hang out with. They're like friends, and they support you and yeah.
The owner at Challengers, I like had a whole hour conversation with him about comics, and I was like, "This is amazing."
Yeah. Sove says, "Hey girl, hey, this is Miss Sove, by the way." Okay, so this is not Michael that we're speaking of. Love it. So all right, so a little bit. So you jump back in. It's really cool that you again, January being it, and I love pointing out that films and the shows are things that also kind of inspired you to kind of get back into it, because that's what I hope for all the time for MCU or any comic book based show or movie to bring people into the hobby, whether it's for the first time or bringing them back in after they've been out for a while. So it's nice to see you as kind of an example, as well as myself, as to diving into this stuff. Definitely a lot of that stuff has influenced me as well. I want to ask you about your YouTube channel. Well, we'll say YouTube, Instagram, and I don't know what came first. But what made you want to create these platforms, and especially for comics? Like, did you have one that was not comics before this? Or I think you had mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe you mentioned that you were part of like like what they call the bookstagrams.
Yes.
Or I know that there is like another kind of audience or community out there that I'm not as in tuned with, but I know that exists as well. But is that, where did that all start for you?
Yeah, so I had a book Instagram. I still do. It's kind of like my personal account as well. I share a little bit more of my life on there. And I started it for the same reason I believe, like, that I started the comic Instagram. I just wanted more people to talk to about books that I was reading. And so I did that for several years. And like when I was in college and before I started working in publishing. And so when I worked in publishing, it shifted a little bit again because I work in marketing, so I actually work with influencers a lot and do influencer marketing campaigns. So to me, it felt very intertwined. And I was doing so much reading for other projects. I was like a judge for the Best Translated Book Award one year, and I was reading like over 100 books.
Oh, wow.
And so I couldn't keep up with it in the same way. And I just wanted to take a break from it. And it ended up becoming one of those spaces where I was feeling like pressure to post and like pressure to engage when I was really just wanting to decompress a little bit. And so this year when I, started watching the Marvel movies, I was probably talking each of my friends' ear offs about
everything that you're watching. Yeah.
Everything I was watching. For me, the storytelling, watching all of the films in order just blew me away about like 10 years of storytelling that was all intertwined. Like to me, my mind like melted at that idea that, so many people had been involved in such a massive project of storytelling on, in a cinematic way. And that was really impressive. And that's what I've always enjoyed about, the novels that I've really liked is the storytelling is intricate and, really beautifully done. And so with comics, I was diving into comics and I just needed an outlet to kind of, express my enthusiasm and excitement because all of my friends were like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And you went on a 20-minute rant.
Right. They're just letting you talk away and they're like, okay. Yeah, no, I get that.
And
go ahead.
I started to feel inspiration again, just like, wanting to post, wanting to talk, wanting to do reviews. And so the Instagram happened and I started watching your channel and I started watching some other YouTubers' channels. And I kind of wanted to just try it myself. I had never given YouTube a go. I had never found myself watching YouTube videos except for like comic YouTube videos. So like you were actually one of the first people I found. Cool. Like I think I followed you on my personal account before the comic one ever came up. And I was like, I want to do that too.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah. So
cool.
That's kind of all how it kind of came together, was just wanting to put myself back out there and again and cultivate a community and just talk and make friends.
Totally. And I think, some of the big things that you had mentioned there too is like, when you were kind of dealing with the Bookstagram stuff and that community and where it started to almost feel like work, right? Like it was a lot of different pressures that came about that. Like, I think that's it's good that you were able to kind of catch that and realize like, hey, I need to like step away, or I need to find something a little different that you can decompress with, or, while it is in the same vein, certainly still a little different. So, I think that's a good case. And I always like to point that out because I know that there are a lot of hardworking people that also do that for comics and for Instagram and for YouTube that may also feel that way to some degree from time to time. And I always hope that at the end of the day, for me, I know what drives me is just the fun and the the relationships that I make and the friendships and the the memories, so I kind of let that be the thing to drive me. But there, there's certainly those moments where, sometimes as a content creator, and know this from a marketing standpoint, because I know you and I are in a similar background too, by the way. I know we've talked about that. But it definitely you're doing it for work, and then at the same time, then you're like trying to like shift gears while you're, when you're home or whatever. Sometimes it can get, a little mixed up. Yeah. So I totally get that. But yeah, I think it's a really cool way just to hear your journey of how you kind of went from one to the other. And I'm glad that you gave it a shot. Because now you're here, now you're part of this community. Yeah. And did you know that there was a comic book community? Like, did you have a sense of that, or were you just like, hey, I'm just going to make this channel, whoever follows me, and I'm just going to go with it?
So not completely. Like I had, I'd seen your channel. I had seen like Comic Tom, Skeleton Keys, V from Read Across the Stars. I was seriously like such a fangirl of V, and then
she's great.
Now we're friends, and the moment I felt like we had like a friendship, I fangirled to like my boyfriend and was like, I am friends with this person that I thought was like the coolest human for the last couple months, and I used to watch her videos, and so it's things like that where I don't know, it just like comes full circle, and it's so exciting.
Yeah, no, it's really cool to hear, like, you kind of see somebody from the outside and you kind of build in your head like, wow, I don't think I'll ever know them like that, but it's cool to watch their channel. But now as you're like engaging and you find out a lot of us are just very much down to earth, very easily, easy to reach out to and just, talk it up. And I think that's what I love most about this comic book community. I don't think there's anyone that really sets themselves, too high on this pedestal or whatever. Like, I feel like I've been able to just reach out to whoever I want, whenever I want, and they've really, reached back out to me, or vice versa, and I try to always answer people back and be on top of that kind of stuff too. Just because we're all just regular people here, and we're all just, here to have fun and, share the similar passion. So I love hearing that kind of stuff. And shout out to Victoria V. We're talking about Read Across the Stars. If anybody doesn't know who we're talking about, she's awesome. I know the three of us were working on doing a saga show, which I know we'll reschedule and have that come down the road as well too. But I look forward to talking about all that with you, which I hope, have you been reading along, or have you like stuck with it, or you enjoyed Saga, right? Okay.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it. I have been bouncing between a few other reads, but I am like, I want to finish it by the end of December. I have a big vacation coming up, so I'm like, also want to save a chunk for it to like really just like sit with. But I've been really enjoying it. And I wanted just to get back to your point about the community. I didn't realize the community was so big, but also small in a way that it sometimes can feel. And when I started the YouTube channel, I posted my first post about like the YouTube going live, and the support from all of the people who had kind of followed me, from like, Lucy from Mama Comics, Victoria, there's, I think, Spencer, Alex, there's just so many people. And I was like, I honestly thought I would make the YouTube and it would just disappear into the ether of the internet. And I was just so stunned because people were sharing that post on their stories, and people I hadn't even talked to. And I was so shocked by the kindness that everyone was showing and the support. And that was something I just hadn't experienced in other communities. So like, I just really wasn't aware of like what the comic community was like. And then that happened, and I was like, really blown away by everyone, really. So so to answer that question a little bit more fully. No, I love it. And I saw a couple things here in the chat too. I want to make sure to highlight. So one, Nigel's in the chat. My good friend Nigel, Desired Comics. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for swinging by. Jason was saying this is a great listen while cooking. My man's cooking right now. I love it. And Gore had a nice thing to say. He said, the majority of people I know don't read comics, which is why YouTube is a great platform to discuss comics with like-minded people who respect and admire the medium as equal to films and novels. Yeah, well said, Gore. Absolutely. And Nemesis Prime says, don't lie, you're on top. Yeah, man. No. We got Swaggle Hoss in the house. Good to see you, Swag. Thanks for swinging by as well. John says, Justin is always so great about responding unless you're stuck waiting to get on his show. Hashtag still backstage. Yes, that's right. John is still backstage at the moment, folks. He will get on this channel at some point. Let's see. We got Uncanny Swag in the house. Good to see you. The other Swag. Thanks for swinging by. Gore says, Saga, I've heard of that book. I know Gore he feels a certain way about Saga. He's not the biggest fan. We've chatted.
You have. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So Let's see. All right, very cool. Oh, he's making raviolis, Jason. Nice for everyone.
For
Oh,
everyone.
okay. All right. Don't tempt me. You don't live too far, man. I'll show up. So very cool. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about your experience with, if you have any, with Comic Cons. Have you ever gone to a Comic Con before? And if you have, do you recall the first time you've ever gone to one?
Yeah, so it was actually C2E2 right before COVID.
Oh, wow.
So it was,
Lucky.
yeah. Well, I have like so many feelings in retrospect, in a like a good way. But
Hmm.
so at that time, I wasn't reading comics,
Okay.
and I went as a publicist for my client. So I
Oh,
got,
okay.
what was great is I got a free 3-day pass,
Nice. Good deal.
and
Good
then I
deal.
was there for him, and then I remember walking in and just being like astounded by
Mm.
how big it was, and the cosplay was epic. And I went to a lot of like more literary events, and I bought a lot of things, and it was just a really awesome experience because it felt like everyone there was like able to kind of geek out and be their selves, like to the
Yeah.
truest extent. And so that felt really cool. But I looked at the list, like now that I've read comics, now I've been reading and collecting, and I looked at the guest list. I think Tom Taylor, Tom King, Jonathan Hickman, they were all there. And I
All the
just,
names.
like, my heart broke upon reading that list and just being like, I missed
Oh no.
everyone. It was just
Right,
like
right.
everyone I ever want to meet.
Yeah. You just didn't know him yet. You just weren't there yet. Yeah.
Exactly. I was like,
Yeah.
what a missed opportunity.
Uh,
It had a ton of fun, but like my heart breaks a little just thinking about it. But it
yeah.
was a great experience to have also right before COVID happened. Like,
Yeah.
I think everything in Chicago shut down 2 weeks later. So I was
Yeah.
really surprised that we were able to have it. And I'm going again this year, and I'm so
Awesome.
excited because I'll be doing some meetups with people. So
Yes. That's next week or next weekend or the following
two
2 weeks?
weeks. Yeah.
Awesome. I am so jealous. That's so cool. I don't know if I told you, I was actually in Chicago last week.
What?
But I was there. It was literally 1 day trip.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I woke up at like 4 a.m., had to get on a flight at like 7, got it was for business. I went for my company. So yeah, got there at like 9, had to do a bunch of presentations, and then literally had lunch and then left. And I was like, damn, like I literally did not get to see anything in Chicago. And I was right in downtown Chicago. And that was my first time ever
another
going.
trip. You should make another trip. I'll show you all of the comic shops.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I want to go. I mean, it certainly is on the list. Actually, my girlfriend and I, we were supposed to go to Chicago right as the pandemic hit. We had something booked like the month, like I think it was like the end of March or beginning of April, and that's obviously everything shut down. So we even had like to get our not a refund, but we had like, you know, money sitting in the United app or whatever, and so that was a bummer. And we were going just for personal, you know, visiting friends and a bunch of other stuff. But so that trip eventually will still happen, and I want to tie it into, as you're, you know, bringing up C2E2, because I remember, I feel like a ton of people I know that's in the community they were all at that show, the one that was right before the pandemic. And I remember a lot of people kind of talked to as if it were the last Comic-Con ever type, you know, story. And I'm just like, damn it, I missed it. It looked so much fun. But I totally hear you from your side, like to kind of miss out in a way, even though you were there. It's like weird to think about, but it makes sense. Like you just weren't quite into some of those, you know, creators yet.
I wasn't in the know. I had no idea. I hadn't been introduced yet. So
yeah, you'll get your chance again, and I'm excited for you. Make sure you take a lot of pictures, videos, all that stuff, a lot of selfies and fun stuff. I'm sure you'll have a good time. I see Candace here. She says I'm really excited for C2E2 as well. It's so fun, and the artist alley is amazing. Yeah, I know she's gone before too. So yeah, very jealous. Let's see. Michael says, or Sove, I don't know if it's Michael or Mrs. Sove, says, assuming Tim Seeley will be there. So lucky. Yeah, I haven't even looked at that list. Have you looked at the list yet for C2E2 this year?
Yeah, I was just writing down some artists that, like, so Jenny Frisian, I know that she's based in Chicago. She'll be there. The artist for Strange Adventures, which made me think of Alberto.
Albert Loves Comics. Him?
Yes, Albert Loves Comics.
Yeah.
Just because he had talked about it, I think recently, I thought of him. And then Mirka
Andolfo.
Yes.
Yeah, Mirka Andolfo. Yeah, she's great.
I realized that she is the artist behind Hex Wives. I don't know if anyone's read Hex Wives, but it's amazing. And it's like these Stepford wives are actually witches, and it's a pretty fun little run. And so I have loved it since, like, you know, the early like years. And when I was in college, I think I was reading it. And so when I found that out, I'm excited to see her. So.
Nice. Oh man, I'm jealous. I might have you pick something up for me from Jenny Frison. If there's an opportunity there, I'm sure she's gonna have a super long line. But
also, Dustin Nguyen is going to be there from Descender.
Oh my gosh, Dustin's gonna be there.
So I've already planned for you and Jason. I have to get something at least signed.
Oh, please do. Please do. Oh, yeah. I'd love you for that. That would be amazing. I'm so jealous. I can't believe Dustin Nguyen's gonna be there. My gosh.
Yeah, I'm super pumped. Chris Claremont as well. I picked up some old X-Men. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm ready.
You're killing me. You're killing me. I'm living through you being there. So please make sure to get a lot of video.
Definitely.
So cool. That is so cool. John had mentioned Hex Wives issue 1 was solid. I never went beyond that issue. I bought a couple of them too. I don't think I ever read it, but I know I there was one like Bewitched cover that Frison did for Hex Wives, and I love that cover.
I think that's the last issue in the run.
That sounds
too.
Right. Issue 6 or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. I should probably read that since I have. I think I own it all. Uncanny says maybe even Robert Kirkman. Maybe he'll be there. That'd be cool.
That would be. I would love that.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. You're gonna have a great time. So all right, we're talking about all these artists and stuff. I want to ask you about from the comic book side, do you have a comic book or two that you'd like to show off that means something special to you?
Yeah, so I have two. One, double is the Patsy Walker.
Ooh, nice.
Okay, they're the same, exactly the same.
That's an older issue, right? Or
it's a Golden Age romance.
Wow.
And what is crazy about this is that initially when I started buying comics, I bought the Scarlet Witch run, and then I had bought this Black Widow Deadpool 75th anniversary variant cover that pays homage to the Patsy Walker. It's basically like Deadpool and Black Widow, and then everything else is the same. Cool. So I definitely paid a lot of money for that variant, but for whatever reason, I was like, I need this in my collection. I love it so much. And then I bought the Patsy Walker. I bought the Golden Age. And then I want to say last month, my dad pulled out the short box from the basement, and I'm going through it, and I found the exact same Patsy Walker.
Wow.
And
what are the chances?
I was just in shock because that to me, I had no idea why I was so drawn to that Deadpool variant cover, the Black Widow. Yeah. I loved it just a lot. And I really wanted the Patsy Walker. And now it makes so much sense to me. I was reading Patsy Walker when I was a kid. I have the worst memory, to be quite honest. And so I had no idea. And when I went through this box, I found Katie Keene and Patsy Walker comics. And then I had found that one, which was the exact same issue. And somewhere in my subconscious, it had stayed. And I now have two in my personal collection. And so to me, that just I love it a lot because it shows what I was really interested. I mean, I love romance and what I was reading when I was a kid, and just knowing that something like that stuck with me for so many years, and I actually didn't even remember it.
Yeah.
It's really wild.
It was always in the back of your head. That's so cool. What are the chances that he had one as well? It's really, really cool. And I definitely have seen that cover before. That's definitely, I feel an iconic, kind of cover there. I see Miss So here says, heck, Golden Age romances are the best. It's so unintentionally hilarious. Yeah, I bet. Go ahead. And do you have the other one that you want to show?
I do. So this is my first, I feel big girl old school comic that I bought. This is really recent, but I'm so happy to have it in my personal collection. The Uncanny X-Men Days of Future Past.
Yes.
141.
Classic story. Oh,
I
love
love
it.
this. Actually, I was talking to Jason because I wasn't sure. Like, I don't know much about grading comics or like conditions, and so even with price points, I'm like, is this like good? And Jason had bought one of these, and I was messaging him like, is this like a good deal? Like, should I be getting this?
Yeah.
And I picked it up from First Aid Comics, and they said they had just gotten in from a collection and hadn't even like listed it. I was calling all the
Wow.
places in Chicago, and so I'm hoping to get Chris Claremont to sign it at
Yes.
C2E2.
Oh, that's amazing. Great idea.
I am just like really happy to have it in my collection. I love Kitty Pryde, and she's on the cover, and
Hmm.
it's such a good story too. And yeah, so those are the
Yeah.
two that kind of I think mean the most. I would be really sad if I didn't have in my collection.
Nice, very nice. And I love that you are such a mutant fan, and I know you've been
Oh my
exploring some of the new
god.
stuff, and I know we have you scheduled. We'll have you on our Omni X-Men show
Yep.
coming up here soon, right around those issues. I think we have some other people booked for those particular ones, but I know we have you booked for some. So yeah, John's clapping it up. He recognizes that cover. A lot of love in the chat right now. That is a very special book. I love. I mean, obviously that's an iconic story, and I think it's a great idea that you're getting it signed by Chris Claremont, which I'm again so jealous because I just want to meet that guy one day in person. I really cannot wait for that day to come. I know he'll be around. I know I hear he's a talker too, so definitely have some questions ready for him if if you're waiting
That's good
online.
to
And
know.
yes,
I'm
he is a
excited.
talker. Yeah. You'll definitely get some answers out of him. Let's see. Comic Ozzy in the chat. What's going on, Ozzy? He says stories behind books in the PC make them so much better. Oh, absolutely. That's why I like to have this segment to kind of hear. Anybody could show any random book, and whether it's expensive or cheap or whatever, it's special because usually my guest has some sort of special story that goes along with it. So, yeah, good call there. Yeah, Jason said, so glad that you bought those books. Very cool. Yeah, a lot of love. Hey, PJ Morris, Paul Morris in the chat. What's going on, Paul? He knows what's up with the X books. John says, me too. I don't want to buy a Claremont signature. Yeah, I just want to meet the man myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It's just not the same. I actually did go through. I have 138. Sorry, 129. Sorry. First Kitty Pryde and Emma Frost, and I had sent that into CGC during the pandemic to just get signed.
Oh wow.
But I quickly like it's cool, and I got it back. It came back at 8.5. I'm really happy with it. And it's a special book. Obviously, we'll never, I'll always keep that book. But it wasn't. I realized for myself personally, and this is different for everybody, but I felt like it wasn't worth it, knowing I wasn't going to get the experience of actually meeting the creator. So for me,
100%.
ever since I did that, I said from here on out, and this was still in the middle of the pandemic, but I'm like, I know things will eventually get better. From here on out, I'm just going to wait until I can actually meet that person in person to get the signature. Because it's like John just said, it's not so much about the signature itself, but it's more about the experience of meeting that person and talking with them, and building that moment or moments. So, but yeah, good point there.
100% to that point. I have a lot of like signed novels, and that's because I used to go to a lot of author events, and it's always been, I loved having signed editions, but it's always about that experience that you're speaking to and creating that memory. And then then there becomes more of a story behind that comic itself or that book or whatever it may be.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Gore says a fascinating what if episode would be, what if Chris Claremont never wrote X-Men? It's hard to even imagine. Yeah, I would not be able to imagine that. I don't think X-Men wouldn't be where it is today without what he did, So yeah, kind of scary to think about. John says leaves saving that for tomorrow. Too windy here. Oh, he's talking about the leaves. Yeah. Just hang here, man. Hang with us. Again, we got 20 people hanging out strong. Appreciate everybody. Make sure you are following Hailey if you're not already. I put her information in the description below. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us here today. So very cool stuff, Hailey. One other question I want to ask you before we get into the rapid fire questions is, I always like to talk about new readers, new collectors, new hobbyists getting into this great hobby, getting into this great community, and how sometimes I think that this hobby can come off a little intimidating, especially if
Oh
you
yeah.
have never come into a comic book shop before, or you've never been to a Comic Con. Like there's just so much going on, and it's like, where do I start? What do I buy? What do I read? What do I collect? All these different questions can certainly come up. So if you had one piece of advice that comes to mind for someone brand new who's like just about to jump into comics, what comes to mind for you? What would be a piece of advice that you'd have for them?
I would say, follow your interest. I think it's easy to get swept up in speculation or what you see other people buying
Yeah.
or even reading. I think that is also what could be intimidating. You see people picking up new books all the time, or you see people picking up like expensive books or trying to do speculation. And then you're like, what if there's that piece of FOMO that could totally happen very easily, especially if like you're new and you're trying to kind of collect everything and all at once, not knowing what direction to go in. And I think this best thing for a person could just be following whatever is going to be something that you genuinely want to read, something that is going to make you happy, versus like collecting it for the sake of like, okay, something was just announced and now I want to get my hands on it.
Right.
I would also say don't be afraid to ask people in the community if you have any connections, or your local comic store if there is one, to just hey, is this like a good price? Like doing some kind of research and being not afraid to, I guess, talk to other people. I mean, for the simple fact of like the Uncanny X-Men, I was like, I don't actually know like grading. I don't know price points. I did some research. I asked, like friends and talked about it. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to make this decision for me. And it felt like the right one. And I didn't want to like get it off of eBay. I wanted to find it in the wild kind of thing.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, I would say like that's my biggest advice, because it's so easy to get swept in FOMO and
The hype.
speculation, the hype. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I don't think those books will bring as much joy as like something where you're like, oh, for me, it's like, I'm so interested in Scarlet Witch and Vision. And now I have that run and it's so meaningful to me. Like that will never leave my personal collection.
Right. Right. No, it's a great points all around. And this is what I love about this segment. Like I love hearing the different thoughts and suggestions that come into play here, because I mean, you're spot on with this. And this goes for whether you're brand new, or you could even apply what you just said to people who've been collecting for quite some time. I know even for myself, as you said, it's easy to kind of get caught up in some of the hype. And especially we live in a world where we're on social media. We see people talking about certain events or certain news, or certain, things that come out in the movies and the films and stuff like that. And it is easy to kind of lose sight of what you are, trying to be focused on, because you just hear everybody talking about this other thing. And you're like, well, I don't really care about that other thing, but it sounds cool. And maybe I'll go buy a bunch. And then next thing you know, like you're just not like, putting your hard-earned money into like necessarily the things that you want. So,
yeah.
And yes, you take a risk with things like speculation and things like that. And I think that not all new readers quite grasp that yet or follow along. So I think, some people fall into that sort of trap, just uneducated, I guess I could say.
It's super easy to just like, you're hearing things and you're like, okay, should I go for it? Should I not? And then, when you don't have that knowledge or that background, it's easy to kind of make a decision that might end up feeling like a mistake.
You regret later. Yeah, for sure. No, well said. Well said. And I see a couple of people had mentioned, Michael here said, it's so nice to see another collector who gets it. Signatures for memories, not value. Yep. Talking about the signatures before. Also says, Hailey is my new spirit animal. I know he totally can agree, as he's a big reader and definitely, likes to stick to what he loves most. The other thing I wanted to say before too, about what you mentioned was, which I think it absolutely makes sense to do, is just talk with friends. I mean, to just, you could check in with a lot of different people as you start to make more friends, and just as you did with Jason, like, if you weren't sure, you were overspending, you didn't want to, get taken advantage of, and you're not sure about certain parts of grading or some of the details that go into grading, which I'm still learning too. It's good to just kind of put a feeler out there and say, hey, like, I saw this, here's a picture of it. They want this much. Like, does that sound right to you? Or, at least to make sure you're not getting, fully taken advantage of, for pricing and things like that, because you never know who you're buying from. And especially if it's a stranger of some sort, you just don't know.
Well, and it's hard to make that leap. I think or maybe for some people it might not be, but to make that leap into where you're spending a little bit more,
Yeah.
right? That's like, I feel like that's like a big step in any kind of collecting where you're like, oh, I'm going to really invest in something for myself.
Yeah.
And, it always feels better if you kind of know what you're getting yourself into versus just like, wildly guessing.
Yeah. Totally. I agree. No, well said. Well said. And again, appreciate that. I love this segment because I know there's new people coming into this hobby all the time, and I know that some of us struggle with this stuff. And if anything, it's just nice to hear again from anyone who is familiar with styles of collecting and things like that. I think that this segment always can benefit people, long term. So appreciate that. And so these are the questions that I had wrapped up for the questions part. I want to jump into the rapid fire stuff. Before we do, I wanted to check with you and make sure, because I forgot to check with you beforehand, but do you have to stop right at 3:00, or are you okay to go a little over that if we do?
Yeah, I'm okay to, yeah.
Cool. So again, everybody, we still got a strong 19 people hanging out with us. Thank you all for taking some time and hanging with us here. So all right, I'm just going to get into it. Sometimes the rapid fire stuff doesn't always get so rapid, but sometimes I like to ask you like why, or elaborate. But some of the stuff I try to get going. So I'll start with this one. And I will warn you, these are not all, there's some challenging questions in terms of like, not hard, but just like hard to decide.
All right.
But if you had to choose just one comic book character of all time, who would you say is your favorite comic book character?
I would say at this moment it's probably Magneto.
Ooh, okay.
Yes.
Nice. Is this because of the new stuff or the old stuff, or kind of everything, or?
Well, as I'm getting into the older stuff, it's still like I'm still like loving him. But I read Hickman's like House of X, Power of X, which I think at this point anyone who knows me knows how much I love it. But I just love the complexity of his character, because there is like a tenderness that like runs throughout Magneto's like vision and storyline, while also just being really like strict and at times evil, or what we think and see as evil. But when you start to understand his backstory and where he came from, you really see like why he is the way that he is. It's not necessarily a justification, but to me, any like characters that fall into gray areas of morality are just always fascinating.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And he is definitely somebody who, I mean, depending when you're reading him, can be looked at as a villain or a hero and everything in between because of his beliefs and kind of where he stands on certain things. So he's certainly one of my favorites as well. But I love that he's up there for you. So yeah, a lot of people in the chat agreeing with you here on that pick. Ryan Magic Lasso said, I thought for sure it was going to be Scarlet Witch. Yeah, no, you would think they are, related technically.
Yeah, she's in like the top as well, but Magneto just like takes the cake for me.
Uncanny Swag says white suit Magneto. Yeah, that's like the newer Magneto stuff. Good stuff there. Miss So says Trial of Magneto is out right now. Haven't read it yet. Yeah. So, and Miss So, I saw your comment. I got to get back to you on that, but she asked me a little bit about Trial of Magneto, and I had some mixed feelings about the latest issue, but overall, really enjoying that series. I don't know. Have you read that, Hailey?
I'm not caught up yet, and I'm like avoiding all spoiler.
Got it. Yeah.
From like, I see people will post about it, and I'm just like, quickly like
skim. Yeah, you flip right past. I do the same. Yeah. I not too long ago, I just caught up to the current Hickman X-Men stuff. I was behind. I was like, I mean, I guess I was kind of where you are now, probably, from what it sounds like. And I was just taking my time with it. I was obviously reading. There's so many other things to read, and there's just so many X titles out there. So it is hard to kind of catch up on things. But if you need like a little list to kind of, if you are trying to like, I know you have some vacation time and stuff like that. If you are trying to knock some things out, talk to Jason, because he's the one that helped me kind of skim through what could be considered fluff versus like the direct storylines, and that helped me really catch up while still not necessarily reading everything per se. But I did read like X of Swords, that whole thing I read. It's like 22 issues. I think that's worth reading before you go further. So I don't know where you're at with that, but if you haven't read that yet, that's a good storyline too, before Trial of Magneto or anything like that. Yes, Jason says skip the rapid fire and on to the X-Men questions. This is basically X-Men questions. Yeah. PJ King says Magneto is a great character. Magneto has so much depth. Yeah, agreed for sure. And Gore here says Pac and Domenico, Magneto's Testament. Oh, I haven't read that. Is an excellent origin story. It explored his life as a child living in a concentrated camp. Oh, okay, interesting.
I now need that. I will be searching the internet right
there
after.
You go. There you go. Gore always bringing the fire, always bringing the knowledge, my friend. So good stuff there. All right, next question for you is, if you could have one superpower, what would that superpower be?
Teleportation.
Oh, okay. Hey, we just had that not too long ago. Nice. Someone else had mentioned that. You could be like Nightcrawler. You bamf your way around wherever you want.
There we go.
Yeah, I love it. I love the mutant themes that we have going on here. We're only 2 questions in. I love it. Let's see. Jason said, I picked up a really dope Deodato Magneto cover today too. Nice. You have to post that later, man. Mike Deodato is awesome. All right, let's see here. Who is your, at least currently, what comes to mind? Who is your favorite comic book artist right now? If you had to pick one.
That is actually so hard. I would have to say I really like Peach Momoko, which I feel like is an answer that probably either half people roll their eyes at or just feel like she's overhyped. But I really love her Demon Days, like writing and art style. It feels very reminiscent of like watercolor, which I think it actually is watercolor when I've seen some of her
style,
her stuff, like the original artwork, and the tie to this, like, you know, Japanese like origins to me is just really fascinating. And I think it draws me back to like my love for anime. And so
that's right. It did lean into that. Yeah.
It leans into that kind of that world. And so for me, it just like it married 2 things that I really, really love.
Yeah. No, good point. Very cool. There's I see my man Azor's Tigers in the chat right now. It says, damn, I'm late. He's a big mutant head. For sure. So good to see you, Eric. Thanks for swinging by. Dick Fury said, are you into Remender's run on X-Force? Check it out if you haven't. It's fantastic. I have not read it, but I recently have been reading a lot more Remender, and I am just such a fan of Remender now. Actually, perfect that you just mentioned this. This will be it's not even a plug, but it's just like I just started reading this book.
Ooh,
which I know I'm supposed to be reading some other stuff right now, but yeah, it's called Low. It's by Remender. It's volume 1, The Delirium of Hope. It says it's Tuccini is the artist, and it's just absolutely stunning stuff. I know Jason, you're in the chat right now. Jason, man, read this so we can talk about this. Actually, anybody in the chat right now, read this so we can talk about it. I just read the first issue, but it's great stuff. I bought the trade a little while back from Zap Comics, but anyways, Low. Yes, and there's some great Remender right there as well. Oh, that's great. You had it right there with you.
Yeah, because of you, by the way.
Nice.
I saw that you had talked about it or posted about it, and my local comic shop was doing 50% off of like newer issues, and so I picked it up and it was like perfect opportunity.
That's a steal. Did you read it yet?
I haven't read it yet. I picked it up yesterday, but I haven't gotten to it.
That's perfect. I'm curious. You'll have to let me know what you think, because definitely enjoying this new series right now. The second issue just came out like 2 weeks ago. But yeah, let me know what you think of the first one. I'm really excited for hearing your thoughts on that. That's cool. I'm glad that you pulled that up as well. A lot of Remender love here. Jason saying Momoko's upcoming cover for the new X Lives Wolverine. Oh yeah. Oh, X Lives of Wolverine is fire. Yeah. Momoko, I mean, I definitely have a lot of her stuff. And as you said, like I do feel there is like a split in the community of, you know, either you do like her stuff or you don't. You know, I definitely have purchased a lot of her stuff. Oh wait, let me hold it. Oh, nice.
The Hulk.
Oh, that's the new one. Yeah.
I don't even really care for Hulk, but this is like the most like adorable.
Love it.
Cover ever.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah, let's see. Oh yeah, Eric here said too. He said, yeah, I heard Low is dope. Yeah, Eric, Jason, and Sheena and JR, we've been breaking down Black Science by Remender. And so Eric, I think you'll I think you'll appreciate this other book called Low as well, since you're on a Remender kick as well. But yeah, good stuff there. And Jason saying, "Oh damn, bro, you should have let me know when you bought it." Yeah, so I bought it a while back actually, and during one of the other sales. You could borrow my copy once I'm done reading it if you want. But yeah, good stuff there. PJ King also saying X-Force is a great book right now by Benjamin Percy. Yeah, the current X-Force, definitely, I agree with that for sure. Justin Ryan saying Justin equals influencer. Yes, sir. We're getting some clapping here from Dick Fury. Miss So says nice. Heard good things about the Righteous so far. About Remender's book that you had up there. Yeah, it is definitely really unique, and they let the artist tell the story too, which I really appreciate. There's not as much, technically it's like a fast read, but I would say take your time with it anyways to just look at the panels and really see, because there's not a lot of text in it actually. So I like that. I like that, they you can get a story from just the artwork. And Gore here saying Remender's Deadly Class is still going strong after all these years. Series is ending soon. His Tokyo Ghost was great too. Yeah, that's a good point. And Deadly Class, I know I've talked to Jason about Deadly Class that I haven't read it yet, but that's also on my list as well. At some point, there he is chiming in about it. Little Prince homage.
The Hulk.
The Hulk. Oh yeah. Nice. So, all right, very cool. Let's see. Next question for you here is, what is the last comic book that you read?
Department of Truth.
Yeah. I know we were just talking about that backstage a little bit.
Yeah, I started it last night and also right before bed, and so there was like moments where I was like, I'm going to have nightmares probably.
Yeah, it is a little dark.
But I love it. I mean, I was telling you before the show, the art just really put me off for the longest time, and I was really resistant. And there was a sale. I picked up the first volume to just give it a go because the premise of it was so intriguing. And everyone who's I've talked to who's read it has loved it. And through reading it, I really enjoyed the art. Like tonally, I feel like it actually really fits the story. And so now that I'm immersed in it, I'm a huge fan, and now I just want to keep, binge reading Department of Truth. But I love this idea of the power of belief, essentially, and how but in this really dark and twisted way.
Right. Yeah.
It's not necessarily like a hopeful story, and I feel like they tackled just like, I don't know, just some really big kind of conspiracies or things that you hear about where, crisis actors, and you're like, this is incredibly dark and really, really scary to just like contemplate. Yeah. So I'm such a huge fan.
I am totally with you. You know how I feel. I love that book right now, and James Tynion, just in general, he's just been killing it. So
yes,
he's certainly up there as one of my favorite writers, especially this year. Just some of the stuff that he's put out. So I think it's worth checking out for anyone who hasn't read it yet, even if you're not necessarily into that genre, because it is just really well done. Tynan's doing a good job there. So great pick there. We got my friend Jason in the chat. What's going on, Southern Comic Geek? Another mutant brother. Good to see you, my friend. All right, let's see. Moving on. Do a little bit of this or that. So I'm just gonna throw a couple things up there, and you let me know what you think of these. I'm first going to ask you, since you're leaning on into the mutant stuff, do you prefer the original X-Men team or the quote unquote new X-Men team, meaning the Claremont X-Men team from the 70s?
Oh, the new.
Yes, I'm with you. Gotta have Storm, sure. Gotta have Wolverine. Yeah. Yep. I love it. What about Jean Grey or Storm?
Storm.
Love it. Good stuff. What about Pepsi or Coke?
Coke, for sure.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Pizza or cake?
Pizza.
Yeah.
That's hard.
You are getting them all correct. This is great. Harley Quinn or Punchline?
Harley Quinn. I don't know Punchline.
Okay, that's fair. Punchline's still fairly new. She's fairly new. That's totally fair. Let's see. I'll ask you. I'm not sure how much you've read of this individual, but I'll ask you. So James Tynion or Ram V? Are you,
James Tynan. I'm not gonna lie, Ron V is not connecting.
got it. Got it. Okay. I'm going to send you a list of Round B books so you can read them as well.
Yes, educate me.
Yeah. Peach Momoko or Jenny Frizen?
Wow, that's not a fair question.
I told you these are hard.
Peach Momoko.
Okay. There you go.
You're like, wrong answer. But
No, I totally respect it. Totally respect it. Okay, let's shift gears here a little bit. I want to ask you a couple things that are non-comic book related, and I see some answers here. Jason says Frizen. TM says pie. He's talking about when I between pizza or cake. He says pie. I'll give you that. We can say pizza pie. I'm down with that. Let's see. Oh, good call. Dick Fury says, nice house on the lake. Check it out if you haven't already. Have you been reading that?
So I've read like the first issue. I haven't continued just because my attention has like been drawn to other comics, but it is, from what I've read, good.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I'm glad it's on your radar. It definitely is another book, especially if you're enjoying Tynan's work just in general. Department of Truth, like super dark, super wicked. And I don't know so you read the first issue?
Yes.
So I don't know if you caught, did you see that there's technically a tie-in between Department of Truth and that first issue of Nice House on the Lake?
No, but now I need to go back and read it so I could connect those dots.
Yeah, so go back and read and look closely at the I don't know if they're not sorry, they're tweets from there's like a Twitter section within the book of like it's almost like you could easily look over it if you don't like, so just go back and look at what the tweets say in issue 1 of Nice House on the Lake. And you'll like that little tie-in. I think it's the first issue. I'm pretty sure it's the first issue. I hope it's the first issue. If not, then you read the second issue and you'll know what I'm talking about. Let's see. Miss So also mentioned you might like Doom Patrol too if you haven't read them yet, Hailey. There's a TV show as well. I heard that the TV show just came out, or is about. I don't know if it's
my list.
Yeah. That's another kind of group, kind of like Suicide Squad, I think, from my understanding of it. But in a like a group, but I don't know if they're necessarily good guys or they're anti-villains or however you put it. But that's on the DC side of things. Definitely a good suggestion there, Miss So. We got Empire Comics in the house. What's going on, Emp? Good to see you. Thanks for swinging by, bro. Okay, so some non-comic book related stuff. Let us start with music. Where do you stand with music? What is your favorite genre, and who is your favorite artist and or band if you could choose one?
Okay, so there's a lot there. I would have to say I'm either listening to like Spanish music, or indie rock, bands that also just make me cry. I love a good cry. So The National is one of them.
Okay, yeah.
Lucy Dacus. There's a band called Oh Wonder that I'm a huge fan of. I have tickets to see them this upcoming year.
Oh, nice.
All of my friends like to say I'm stuck in the early 2000s as well. Like I listen to like
nothing wrong with that.
The music I used to listen to when I was like in high school, or my early college years. I love the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I'm seeing them also next year. Like, nice. I love seeing live music. So those are some bands that I really enjoy. And whenever I'm with like family, we just listen to Spanish music. So
cool. When you say Spanish, could you like give me some examples, or is there a certain genre? I know there's technically like a lot of genres.
So like people that like Maluma. Wow, the names are escaping me right now. I don't even know why I can't.
That's all right. I was just curious what kind of. So reggaeton definitely gives me an idea a little bit more of like the direction. And
I have like honestly, there's like a list of like 5 people I really love, and
like your go-tos.
My brain has.
That's all right. It'll come
brain
to you
fart,
later.
like left.
It'll come to you right after we end the show is when they'll all come back to you.
I see that Jason in the chat put Aventura, and that's also I love.
There you go. Yeah. I am very familiar with a lot of them because I used to work in a CD store. I used to work at an FYE a long time ago for many years, and so I had to like alphabetize and organize a lot of the different Spanish sections. So I kind of started to get to, be familiar with some of the names as we went on. So very cool. Dick Fury says Gasolina there.
Yeah. He's Puerto Rican. And so my family, we would like, they fly to Puerto Rico quite often. They've met Daddy Yankee like so
Oh,
many
really? Oh,
times.
that's cool.
Like,
That's cool. Man, I haven't heard that name in so long,
I
Daddy Yankee.
know.
Let's see. Gore says it's hard to find a Spanish language ballad that isn't sad or wonderfully tragic. Yeah, a lot of emotion, I would say
Yes.
for sure. Comics and culture in the house. What's going on, brother? Good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. Happy holidays to you as well. He says Bad Bunny. I'm not
Love
familiar with
Bad
Bad Bunny.
Bunny.
Okay,
Love Bad Bunny.
Is that a Spanish group? Bad Bunny.
Yeah,
Okay.
no,
Oh,
it's like
okay.
a rapper
Oh,
reggaeton.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, he's also he's good. He's super fun.
Nice. Oh, nice. I'll have to look him up. Jason saying Spanish music is huge in North Jersey from where we're at. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I definitely I agree with that for sure, Jason. Bachata, yeah. So he's mentioned reggaeton, salsa, bachata, merengue. Those are all
I
definitely
love dancing bachata.
the different. Yeah. Can you dance? Nice.
I mean, it's not incredibly good, but we do it at a family party. So
Nice. Hey, that counts. Gore also asked if he says the Gotten project from Argentina or Paris
I am
or
not.
Gotan.
I am
Yeah, I'm
not, but
familiar either.
I'll look into it.
Yeah. Yeah, Eric says FYE was the pop culture spot. I really was. I worked there for like 7 or 8 years, and I learned a lot just, being part of it's like CDs and DVDs, like a mix of everything. So I was always on top of what was hot at that time. Nora and Nina Sky, definitely bringing it back right there.
The Oi Mi Canto song is like, I play that still.
I love it.
It is so much fun.
That's so great. Good call there. Very cool. So I love that you're definitely all in on a lot of different music and not just one genre as we hear now. So very cool. Next question for you is: are you a fan of sports? And if you are, what are your favorite sports, and who are your favorite sports teams?
Yes, I love football. I am a Cubs fan as well. So I'm a Bears fan for football. I'm a Cubs fan for baseball, but I will not watch baseball unless it's the Cubs. And I love boxing and UFC. And so we used to, before COVID, we used to have family parties where we would get together and watch the boxing matches, and then we would all bet on the rounds and the player.
Nice. That's so much fun.
Boxer. Yeah. So
like the Saturday night pay-per-view type stuff. Yeah. That's cool. I have a neighbor that lives behind me, and they set up this big screen in the backyard, and they have a bunch of friends over. And actually, I can like see the fight from their big screen just from like looking over the fence or whatever. So it's like a big night. Yeah, kind of like what you're describing there. So that's cool. Yeah, I'm a big football fan. That's all I do on Sundays. So I certainly like to watch the Bears whenever they're relevant to my fantasy stuff. So I do a lot of the fantasy football stuff, but yeah, good stuff there. I know actually your Bears just played my Ravens not too long ago, and I know it was kind of a messy game. But we squeezed out the win there with our backup quarterback. But yeah, so cool. I like that you're kind of into everything. I would love to go to you mentioned the Cubs. I'd love to go to their stadium at some point in Chicago. Awesome. I hear it's a beautiful stadium. Baseball has been like kind of a secondary sport to me ever since I met my girlfriend. She got me into baseball. I'm a big Yankee fan, and I know that either you love them or you hate them. But definitely hearing that you're from Chicago, I would love. I mean, baseball games. I will say, and for those who maybe hate baseball, because I used to be one of those people. Like I used to hate baseball, or not. I just used to not care about it. Or that it was too boring or whatever. I think that going to the games is super fun. So even if you don't know anything about baseball, if you get a chance, go to the games, because those are a lot more entertaining than necessarily just watching it on TV or whatever.
100%. And Cubs games are just absolutely wild. Like the whole neighborhood just like shuts down.
Oh, that's cool.
When Cubs games happen, there's the buildings that have bleachers, so people will also buy tickets to sit in buildings across the street from the Cubs just to also be able to see it.
That's so cool. I love the dedication. I love when cities, come together. The Ravens are just like that too. Baltimore like shuts down and everybody comes into the city, and just it's like a massive block party, down the street.
When they won the World Series, so I grew up about a block away from the Wrigley Stadium. So I've seen it go through the transformation, because it looks really nice. It doesn't look not totally changed, but is definitely a lot nicer. There used to be a gate in left field that was like you could see onto the field. And so when I was a kid, my cousins and I would stand and watch the players in left field in the baseball game. They've obviously like since remodeled, and now you can't see the game for free.
Right. Changed it up on you.
But when they won the World Series, we were at my aunt's house, which was also, she lived about a block away. I've never seen so many grown men cry.
Yeah.
And then everyone just like rushed the streets and like ran to the stadium, and it was complete greatness and chaos.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, a lot of passion there, I bet, for sure, on an event like that. Very cool. I see a couple people in the chat here. One, Dick Fury mentioned before when we were talking about FYE, he said, do you remember Coconuts before FYE? Yes, I do. And Coconuts actually was owned by the same business that owned FYE as well. They were essentially, the same store in a way. But yeah, I do remember. I actually had a Coconuts around here that closed down not too, well, I guess, within 4 years ago. Also, Hyper said, did someone say UFC? I know that Hyper Combo Comics is a big fan of Fight Night. And if you don't talk to Hyper, you guys should definitely connect. He's a big fan of the UFC stuff for sure. I've heard him talk about it. Yeah, John talking about, he says that he remembers Coconuts. Canelo boxing.
Canelo.
Canelo.
Yes, I love Canelo, and anytime he fights, we watch. So
there you go. Good stuff. Yeah, I have not watched boxing in quite some time, probably since the Tyson days.
Oh wow.
At least like reruns of that, because that's all I ever really got into. And Pacquiao, I guess I did follow Pacquiao for a little bit.
That was
he's part of my
moment.
people.
I loved it.
Yeah. Jason saying Fight Night here. PJ says my Giants suck. Yeah, I mean, PJ, my girlfriend is a diehard Giants fan, and you just got to ride along with the good and the bad, my friend. You just stick with it. I'm glad to see that you're still supporting. You got their logo there as your picture, so I try to support the Giants too. It is hard sometimes, but I do try to support them. Let's see. He says GSP is pound for pound the best. Just one Canadian's opinion. GSP, I don't know if is that a fighter?
Potentially. I will say, as much as I love UFC, I don't follow it. So it's one of those things where we'll all watch then like bet and cheer.
Yeah.
But
the bets always make it helpful. Yeah.
I don't like follow players specifically.
Gotcha. Yeah. Cool. PJ mentioning, I always wanted to go to Wrigley Field. Fenway Park is awesome too, even though I hate the team. Yeah, I'm with you. I hear Fenway is amazing up in Boston, and I would definitely love to go at some point, even though I agree with you. Not a fan of the team at all, but we'll see. And my man Nigel, he knows what's up. Ravens Nation, my man living down in Baltimore. Miss Sosa's not a sports fan, but was happy to see the Cubs win the World Series. That was pretty cool. There you go. There's some love there. Oh man, John, I had no idea. I'm so sorry to hear that you are a Steelers fan. Brutal. Comics and Culture says Steve Bartman ? Don't know who that is. Do you?
Over my head.
No?
Again,
okay.
I'm the worst with players, but we'll love teams. And...
Okay. Yeah, we'll go with it. And TM, come on, TM. You don't even know what you're cheering for, man. You know, I gotta convert this guy. I really do. He's from Canada, so it's up for grabs in terms of converting his heart to who he roots for. So, Travis, I'll get you to switch over. And Michael says I miss Friday nights fights on HBO. Yeah. Yep, remember those. Candace here chiming in saying, yes, I love going to the rooftop games. I've done that through work. Great stadium and area for general Chicago, knows how to have a good time. Yeah, that does sound really cool. The rooftop
it's
stuff.
A blast.
Yeah. All right, let's see. I want to let's keep this going here before we wrap up. I know we're about hour and 18 minutes in here. Appreciate everybody hanging. We got 25 people, by the way. And if you are not subbed up to Hailey, please do so. I put her information in the description below and her Instagram account. So make sure you are supporting. Let's see. What is your favorite? I'm just gonna say, what is your favorite film of all time? Just any genre, anything. What even me asking that, like, what comes to mind right now? I'm very curious.
Oh God. Okay. Well, what comes to mind is just like not even like good films. To be honest, like it's just going to be embarrassing. So, okay, here's a movie that's like a comfort movie that I will rewatch, and it was because we had it on DVD when I was a kid. Is All right, out myself. My Big Fat Greek Wedding. I love
Mm,
rom-coms. I love
okay.
that
Yeah.
film. I
Yeah.
remember watching it and it just reminding me of like my big family and my big crazy family. And so I would just watch that. I've probably watched it over like 30 times in
Wow.
my
Wow.
lifetime.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
will watch it and rewatch it. Just it's one of those like junk food feels good watching.
Totally. Totally.
I promise I have like better taste in films than that.
No, but you're right. That's a film that definitely I think also is very relatable, like you mentioned, like with family and stuff like that. And it's got great humor. I've definitely seen that multiple times as well. And it probably wouldn't be a movie that comes to mind for a question like this, but I mean, it's definitely one of those films that anybody can enjoy. Like you said, you could put it on in the background and just jump into it at any time. So I think that's a great pick. Ryan says, Hailey, I love Grease too. So your answer won't be nearly as shameful. Yeah, Grease too, man. Yeah, I don't know,
I
Ryan.
support your decision to love that movie.
Oh man. Hyper says there really is only one answer, and it's Rush Hour. Yes. When I had Hyper on here, he was a guest on the show a while back, and he said Rush Hour. I was not expecting it, and it's funny because I at that time literally just introduced my girlfriend to Rush Hour. She never watched any of the Rush Hour films, so I'm a big fan of them. I don't know if it's my favorite film, but I love that he stands his ground on Rush Hour films. So with you there, Hyper. All right, so great pick there. Let's see. What about what's the best concert you've ever been to?
Ooh, okay. So when I was in high school, I saw 30 Seconds to Mars,
Nice.
and I
Jared
was
Leto.
close to the front,
Yeah.
and they said crowd surf if you want to be on stage.
Hmm.
So I was too close to crowd surf, and I jumped the gate
Oh
and
wow.
went onto the
Oh wow.
stage.
You got on stage? It's wild.
And stood next to Jared Leto while confetti came down and they did like Kings and Queens, and it was really epic. And I just like that moment when you like saw the like all of the people in the crowd was just really insane, and the drummer was drumming so hard and I saw like sweat flying off of him, and it was just one of those like moments, and you're a teenager and you're like, this is epic.
Right.
So I would say that has to be like one of the most memorable, like best concerts I've ever been to, and they were really good live. So,
Nice.
yeah,
That's always a plus too. When you at least you can finish that with like, and they were really good. Like I've definitely been to some bands who I like love, and they were really bad live. And
yeah.
I'll mention like Blink-182 is probably one of my favorite bands,
Really?
and they were bad live, or at least I should say, Tom was bad live, vocally. He was just so off. It was
Wow.
To be fair, it was after he left and came back, and he had changed his voice a little bit. Like the style of how he was singing was with Angels and Airwaves, and so it was a little bit more like, I don't know, like emo-ish. It wasn't like the same Blink-182 kind of thing. And actually they like mocked each other on stage about it. Like they kind of teased each other about it. Like they were like friends again, and it was after they like came back or whatever. But I mean, Mark was great. Travis is fantastic. But yeah, just Tom was like off vocally. But maybe it was just a bad night. So that there's always that.
But still, that's a little disappointing. You're just like, you love the band so much, and then you go and you're like, well, that was
a little bit
right.
of a little bit of a letdown. I see we have a couple other people in the chat. We got Dan De La Torre. Good to see you, my friend. And I don't know if I'm saying this right, but Subade. Appreciate you stopping by as well. A lot of back and forth here on Rush Hour. Everybody loving Rush Hour. Rush Hour 2, 1 and 2. You can't beat it. Yeah, like I mean, I'm a fan. I'm definitely a fan. Let's see. Miss So said, Hailey, if you like Jared Leto, you got to check out an old show he was on called My So-Called Life. I've
watched it.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Jared Leto was on that. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So I never really got into My So-Called Life. My girlfriend just had it on because I think it's on like Disney Plus or whatever the Hulu or whatever it's on now that you can like stream. So she had it on like in the background, and I did like see some of it. I didn't realize like how many actors came from that show. Like a lot.
My stepdad introduced me because he like knew that I like Jared Leto, and he's like, you need to watch this show.
Oh, yes, nice.
Made me sit down and watch it. It was good.
Cool. Let's see. Travis is saying Metallica was amazing live. John was talking about the Cars. Were the worst live show ever. Oh, that stinks. That stinks to hear. I know the Cars is a pretty big band.
Yeah.
Dick Fury says Red Hot Chili Peppers have a tour coming up. That's what you're going to see them?
That's
right?
a tour. Yeah, I think it's like their world tour. So yeah, I'm going to see them in August of 2022.
Nice. Okay, good stuff. And Gore says Big Fat Greek Wedding is a good film, kind of like Bridget Jones' Diary for me. As a guilty pleasure, Jared Leto was great in My So-Called. So he's mentioned that as well.
Love
for
it
the TV
all.
series. Yeah. Good stuff there. All right, so let's I'm gonna wrap this up here. Just a couple last minute questions. Where did I leave off? If you could travel the world anywhere for a vacation that was paid for completely and it's completely safe to travel wherever you want, you and your family, where would you go? Somewhere that you've never been before in the world.
I would love to go to Japan.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Nice. I just, there's like a lot of things about, the culture out there when it comes to like the art and anime and some people know I collect fountain pens, and so there's like a huge like stationery community out there and things of that sort, and I have some friends, so it would just be really cool to go. And then also just some of the nature sites I want to visit and I want to see it all, so I would love to go, and if I get to bring people with me, like let's all go to Japan. My cousins have been and they've loved it. So.
Oh, that's great. I mean, I've definitely heard, amazing things in terms of going for, I feel like if you're going to Japan though, I do feel like you'd have to go for like a good month or at least like 3 weeks. Like, I feel like a week would be too short in Japan. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I got this far, I got here. I need to see more of it.
Yeah. I feel like you'd be so limited to like, what you could see, but yeah, no, that's a great choice. Great choice for sure. All right, last question for you here, and then we're gonna wrap up, and you can let the people know anything that you have coming up. I always like to bring up food. I know I talked about pizza and cake earlier, but if you had the choice of like anything that you want for dinner, on a Friday evening, like what's your go-to meal on a Friday night? Like if you could order out, if you could go out to eat somewhere, if you could cook, whatever it is that you like to do, what is like the go-to meal?
So the go-to would probably be Thai food. I love Thai food. That's nice. Like whenever it's like a weekend night and I want some like, I'm staying in comfort food, it's just going to make me like very happy. I order Thai food. It's so good.
Very nice. Yeah. Yes. I do like Thai food from time to time. I feel like I have to be in the mood for it, but it definitely is great for sure. So great choice. Great choice there. Yeah, I got and I always torture myself with this because now, I mean, I definitely could go for some Thai food right now and I'm like starving. But yeah, so those are the questions that I had for you, Hailey. This is kind of the coming to the end here. Before we wrap up, though, I do want to give you a platform here. So let the people in the chat know where they can find you and if you have anything coming up that you want to promote.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Shy Comic Girl. Same with YouTube. I will say I'm a little slow to put YouTube videos up, but I'm working on a few. One of them is focused on Tom Taylor. I've been really diving into a lot of his work, and so I wanted to do an episode that just went through what I had been reading and kind of ranking it.
Nice. So. Very nice. Cool. Well, again, if you guys don't already follow Hailey, I put all our information in the description below. And like I mentioned earlier, we will reschedule for Saga soon. So hopefully me, you, and V, that'll be a lot of fun as well. And yeah, you're gonna have to let me know about some of these other books that I sent you. Maybe we break some of those down.
Yeah, switch really quickly. Guys, look what Justin sent me. I am so freaking excited. Descender and Middle West.
Heck yeah.
So Justin has given me homework.
Yeah, exactly.
It's exciting.
Perfect that you are going to see Dustin Nguyen at C2E2. You could have him sign the trade or something like that.
Oh yeah, I'm bringing all of this up, and so you can also expect like a fun package coming your way.
Oh, cool. I just picture you showing up with like almost like a short box of like things to get signed from people. I
have people I need to gift.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
You're gonna need like a team with you, or hire some like some people, some local kids down the street to help you carry all this stuff, and have stuff distributed to all these creators. I think it's great. Yeah, TM saying Middle West FC. He said it's fantastic. Yeah. Appreciate you guys. So everybody in the chat right now, again, thank you all so much for hanging out. We had 26 hanging with us at the moment. Thank you for always being part of this Origins show. Is what it's all about, just hanging out, talking, getting to know other community members. Hailey, thank you so much for being part of the show. Yes, I really appreciate it. Certainly not the last time that I'm going to have you on the channel. You know, as we talked, we will, have to collaborate again here soon. And looking forward to more content that you put out over on your channel as well. I know that you just mentioned you're going to be putting more stuff out, as also on Instagram. So again, you've just been an awesome, like I said before, I feel like you've just been an uplifting energy to the community, and love seeing how you're just diving into a lot of different things right now, and embracing all of it, and embracing the community along the way. So appreciate you, and appreciate everything that you're doing. Absolutely. All right, guys, we are going to wrap it up here. So again, everybody in the chat, thank you for taking the time to watch. Next week, I am actually going to be taking off Comic Collector Origins. So I'm going on a little vacation. So we will not be live next Saturday. However, the following Saturday, I will have Moonlit Comics. Really excited for that. So Michelle, if you guys don't follow her, she will be my upcoming guest. So I'll make sure to be promoting that along the way. But again, if you're watching this replay right now, you watching the replay, thanks for taking that time. And everybody here in the chat, appreciate you as well. Make sure you smash the like button on the way out. Leave a comment in the comment section below. That always helps. And have a great weekend. Enjoy it. Enjoy a nice Sunday football like I will be tomorrow. So, all right, guys, until